Community Viewpoint.
And welcome once again to Community Viewpoint. I'm John Pawlak, your host for this segment. And it's a little rainy today, but hopefully the sun will be shining next week or by the time you watch this on the weekend. We're going to be talking today about something that's near and dear to my heart. It was some years ago, since I came out here, I was concerned living in the Pahrump Valley about different things like the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, and the soil that we grow things on. So I was involved with a group called the Community Advisory Board for Nevada Test Site Programs. And we have with us today Dina Williamson-Erdag, who is part of a group called, what are you part of?
NSAB, Nevada Site-Specific Advisory Board.
And guess what? It's the same darn thing. It just DOE decides to change the acronyms, so that's the Department of Energy for you. But anyway, basically it's concerned citizens that are concerned that about where we live and about our water, about our air, and about our soils. And I was picked because of, I think because I was a union person. I came here from the Midwest. I did a lot of research for things like Yucca Mountain, which has nothing to do with the Nevada Test Site. But I was concerned about the area up there. And I'm sure that you were picked for, plus I was in Nye County. And then you were picked because of, there are certain prerequisites?
I think just because of my activeness in the community and being able to provide some input from our community on the issues that we face there.
It's interesting also that the Nevada Test Site, let's look at that for a second here, which is not called the Nevada Test Site anymore. It's called the N2S2.
Nevada National Security Site.
I'm glad you said that because I can never get that right. But anyway, it's just north of us, about 45 minutes to the Mercury main gate, and it's about the size of, what is it, Connecticut? I believe they say.
I think that's right.
Yeah. And you see it up there, and just north of the Amargosa Valley, and you see Beatty to the left of it also. So it's all in Nye County. When I was on the board at the time, we go back to us, we only had representation of, let's say, 3 people from Nye County, and the rest were from Clark County, was like 7 or 8 people. But now, thankfully, you have 7 people from Nye County, 6 from Clark, and 1 from Inyo County, which is Shoshone-Tacoma area. So it's a better representation of where Nevada Test Site, or N2S2, sits. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing on the Site-Specific Advisory Board nowadays.
Well, NSAB is an advisory board for the Department of Energy, and it's made up of members from urban and rural communities in southern Nevada and bordering California. And basically what we do is we review and we provide feedback on radioactive waste management and disposal, transportation activities, the effects of the historic nuclear testing on the groundwater, and other environmental remediation activities. So our purview is not just the N2S2, it also goes up to the Tonopah Test Range.
So that's a huge area, folks. So the folks you meet every other month, is it?
We meet about every other month, about 6 times a year.
And they try to do it, let's see, once in Pahrump or twice a year, once or twice?
Out of those, say, 6 meetings, they'll do 2 in the rurals. Pretty regularly, at least one of those rurals is in Pahrump, and the other one will be Beatty or Amargosa.
Amargosa, yeah.
And the other 4 will be in Las Vegas.
Right. And that's usually at the, where is that now? At
It's at the building where the Atomic Energy,
Atomic Energy, yes.
yep, museum.
That's a lovely place too. If you've
Yeah.
never been there,
Oh,
that's
very interesting.
great to see the history of the Matatesite or N2S2 and the Cold War legacy from the area here. So you were supposed to have a meeting in another week or two?
Next, we meet the 3rd Wednesday of the month. So the 3rd Wednesday would have been the 18th of March, but due to the coronavirus that is hitting our communities, and to keep it from hitting the communities, that meeting has been canceled. But the next meeting will be, I've got my schedule here, will be Wednesday, May 20th, and that one will be in Amargosa.
Oh, okay.
At the Amargosa Valley Community Center. The meetings start at 4 p.m. They're evening meetings. They go for about 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours. The meeting after that will be July 15th, and that will be at the Frank Rogers Science Building on Flamingo, and that's the building where the Atomic Energy Museum is.
Yes. So have you been able to go to any of the sites around the country?
That is an opportunity that's always available.
That's one of the real, I don't want to say it's a real treat, but it's an eye-opener, because I was able to go 1, 2, 3, about 4 different places around the country for conferences to see some of the other areas for the DOE where the laboratories are, and where do we get a lot of our waste from different places.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
especially on the transportation side, where we're able to tour the facilities that are sending the material to our disposal site, which is Site 5.
So, and when I was on the board, there were a lot more places sending us waste, and there is a difference because there's a lot less places now than there were before, if you look at the map of the United States. So there's a lot of the places have been closed.
Right.
So there has been change in the last 10 or 12 years that we can see that is truly visible. So there's, you've seen some of the wells that they've drilled?
Yes, yes. The part of our purview is to let me find that is actually what we do every September is the committee. The board meets and at our meeting, and we develop a work plan for the following year. So our 2020 work plan was around soil contamination from historic atmospheric nuclear testing, remediation of contaminated facilities, and groundwater testing studies, and radioactive waste disposal and transportation thereof. Now, we do a tour. Once we pick our work plan, in October, we'll go on a tour of N2S2, and we will visit sites that have to do with our work plan. So if the work plan has to do with the water issue, the radioactive water issues, we'll go and we'll be able to tour those sites. We'll do some education. They'll do some education programs to tell us about it, some slideshows and discussion. And that way we can make with some information, more accurate information, we can give some advice to the Department of Energy as to what we think.
So we're like the go-between, the technicians, the scientists over at DOE, and the people here in Pahrump, Amargosa, or Beatty. When they have questions, they have a connection, and we are the connection, the volunteers.
Yes. NSAB works as, it kind of functions as an educational and informational link to the community, and the community back to them. to
Right.
the Department of Energy.
Right. So, and yeah, I've toured many times the Nevada test site N2S2, and that's a real eye opener to see the legacy from the Cold War era, and there are tours that are available. You have to book them way in advance, and there's a way on the DOE site also to do that.
Our tour steps a little bit beyond the public tours.
Yeah.
We get to get out and walk around and touch and feel and actually look at what some of those sites are entailing.
I was really appreciative of that to try to understand a little bit better, because you have all the scientists there with you as well, and it was a real eye opener. So I was quite happy to be there for the 6 years. They're 2-year tours of duty, so to speak.
Right. One of the main things I want to bring to everybody's attention is that we're in the midst of a membership drive to fill some seats on the board, because the term, you can do three 2-year terms. So we have some members from Pahrump who are terming out, and we want to fill those positions. So the deadline for applications is March 31st. You can go to the website. You can either call the NSAB office at 702-523-0894 to get an application, or you can go to the website, which is nsab@emcbc.doe.gov. I think when I applied, there were also some applications that were at the library, so
Okay.
you might be able to find them there.
If they're not there, we'll put them there.
Right.
Yes.
And then I want to make sure that everybody understands the responsibilities of being a member, and you need to attend the full board meetings, which are approximately 6 a year, about every other month. You need to be an active participant on the board and the committee assignment activities. You need to review all the material. There is a significant amount of material that is sent before the meeting for you to review. Your commitment is maybe about 10 hours a month by the time you read and then attend the meetings. You don't need to have any technical experience or skills that you would bring to the meeting. You just really need to be able to listen, read, comprehend, and give an opinion.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us, and we're out of time. And what we talked about today has also been in the Pahrump Valley Times, so you could reach out for it there. So, Social Security, they're not coming out here for the next month or so, so that's been canceled because of the virus. So thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.